Hello, goddesses. How are you? I'm Tara Omilade, your goddess guru, your sister friend, and I love helping women align with their life purpose using the power of ancient wisdom and the goddess centered lifestyle. And today, I want to talk just a little bit about the astrology of this is what July 2nd and July 3rd. Woo! Days for the history books. Um, I do this so, if you're not really interested in this kind of thing, you don't want to hear me talking about P-Diddy, or you're not interested in me talking about politics and this big bad bill that just passed, just go on ahead and log off. But I am not the kind of spiritual teacher that's going to be ignoring stuff that's happening in the news. And you all know that I have the position of a lot of times the astrology will kind of explain some things. So I had talked about P-Diddy, and I was actually kind of surprised, like, wow, he might actually get off. I don't keep up with that trial. So I knew about the racketeering charge, but I didn't know all the charges that were involved. So my position was he could get off, but he needed to prepare to spend some time in prison. So who knows? I've been hearing today he may not spend much time in prison, even though I do think it's interesting. They did not release him on bail bond, whatever you want to call it. Um, Probably bail. Does he need a bond? But anywho, I do find that interesting. Um, but yeah, that was the astrology. And today I was looking like, why did I think he was gonna be fine? Well, he definitely has. First of all, he's not a Scorpio rising. I don't know what his rising sign is, but I just decided to orient his chart and so he looks like a Scorpio so that I can really see. But one thing is for sure that I knew working in his favor was Jupiter interacting with this Mercury. And then as Jupiter continues to move forward, and that's because, first of all, let me pause. Jupiter is in Cancer and his sun sign is Scorpio. And any planets that are there, Jupiter is going to be interacting in a way that brings abundance, blessing, flow, opportunity, good fortune, that kind of thing. So I had a feeling that he potentially could receive some sort of blessing. So when I heard he didn't get fully convicted of all the charges, I thought, well, you know, I assumed something good was going to happen in his favor. Of course, y'all know you know, I'll be honest with you. I deplore what P. Diddy has done. Um, and I think what I'm trying to do is not to be too negative because there's so much negativity. Y'all already know I'm not about P. Diddy. I'm not for what he did. And I'm happy that some level of justice was levied against him. So just want to be clear. This is not I don't believe in supporting people. I don't care what color their skin. If you're doing stuff that's wrong, I'm not going to support that. But anywho, just needed to say that. So I knew that there was going to be some type of good fortune. And if it wasn't now, then I thought, okay, it will be in the fall. Something good will happen in his favor. And so maybe the thing that's going to happen in his favor is he gets a super short sentence, if any. Um, I will say, let's see here, that I don't know what time the P. Diddy verdict came down, and I'm recording this live, so I can't pause it like I typically do. Oh, here's another one. Let's see here. Jupiter is at let's see, where are you, Jupiter? 5. 5 of Cancer. So it's interacting with this Uranus. Now it is in a way that's stressful. But Uranus can bring an up level. It can bring something unexpected. It's a liberating planet. So we don't know. We don't know where his Uranus is. So, from his sun sign, it's in the house that has to do with prison. So, but it's interacting with Jupiter in a stressful way. So it's like, no, you may not go to prison for as long as you could have had you not had that great legal team. But it's not going to come to you easy. Bail denied. You can't get the bail. So maybe that's what it is. But if we're looking at him as a Scorpio, in a way, Uranus in the 12th house might actually be, it's kind of could work in his favor. But let's see here. What else I want to tell you? Jupiter even interacting with this Saturn. If we're looking at this as a Scorpio, Saturn is in his house that has to do with legal affairs. And so there was something in this chart that was playing in his favor. I think I confirmed that the moon was in Virgo the entire day. So Jupiter sending good energy to this Mercury was helping this moon. And in a way, that moon, when we orient his chart as a Virgo, that moon is in a house that can bring you some good luck and some good fortune. Jupiter in the 9th house, good luck, good fortune. So, looking at it this way, it's like, wow, I can see how things kind of played out in his favor. The one thing that I think didn't play in his favor is that Jupiter is invisible. So, if Jupiter had been visible, he may have just completely gotten off, which would be, to me, a travesty. But I'm not the judge of your spirit. I'm not the judge, and I'm not the juror. I do find it interesting. Let's see here. Yesterday, where was Venus? Y'all get to see how I look at all my astrology. The 2nd of July, Venus was on the 27th degree, 27th, 28th degree. So she's working with that 29-degree Uranus. Why did I ask, what does Venus do? There was some video I was like, yeah, we're going to check out and see what happens when Venus is on the 29th degree. Yeah. Anywho, Venus in this particular chart actually rules the house that has to do with, because Venus rules Taurus. It rules the house that has to do with legal affairs, if we're looking at him as a Scorpio. And her being so close to Uranus, something shocking, something unsurprising. I mean, something surprising potentially could happen with a court case. So I'm telling y'all, astrology, when you use that timing energetically, and I don't like, I am like doing my best to be as sciencey as I possibly can be, because I am so tired of all the scamminess and learning about how so much of all this spiritual stuff that people spout is actually connected to people who just don't have our best interests at heart. My experience is what I will say is that when people play the astrology well, it will work in their favor, no matter who you are, no matter what you've done. Okay. And so, it just so happens how all this has unfolded. I believe in, in astrology, when you are born, that wheel starts turning, and we have what is called progressed charts. And built into astrology is a blueprint. It's an itinerary. And as the world turns, as the wheel of astrology turns, there are times when things get unlocked, because before you got here, it was built into that astrology. Around this time, no matter what's going on, I'm going to have this kind of energetic thing happening. And so, yeah, he just so happens to have it planned out. I mean, like, of all the times that he is in court, Jupiter is hooking him up. So, and we'll see, I don't know when he's going to have the sentencing hearing. Jupiter goes visible July 12th. So He could have a lot of stuff working in his favor. Now, Jupiter is gonna go across his it's gonna interact with his Jupiter and his Venus. And I'm interested to see what will happen. I believe this is not as easy as it looks. People are kind of like, pretty much he's acquitted. Well, he was acquitted on 3 counts. He's still guilty on 2. And I think he's gonna have to pay for it. I think Diddy is gonna have to pay. And that's what we'll start seeing in the fall. It's a little bit of a mixed bag. He's gonna have stuff going for him. I think in terms of the sentencing and that kind of thing. No, I still think he'll serve more time than he actually wants to. Maybe that's kind of reflected now. Um, but I also think this case is maybe what's going to happen. And again, I don't really know his rising sign, but from his sun sign, maybe what's going to happen is um, people will start hitting him up left and right in the civil court. And, you know, he'll be spending a lot of time there. So, yeah, that's what I have. I'm not going to look too much deeper into this. Just, I did learn because I went and talked to my astrology teacher after that last P-Diddy video I made. And um, I was like, there was a lot of energy that he could have manifested this positively. And he was like, some of the most evil signs, one of which Jupiter, which there was a Jupiterian energy with an astrology technique I was using, Gemini, and one of the most violent signs, Libra. I was like, and he is Scorpio too. Oh, okay. Moving on to the big bad bill. Interestingly, I found, hold on one second. I think this is right. No, hold on one second, y'all. I gotta go back in here because they said it passed at 2:32. What did I put in here? Because it says 4:32 and it should say 3:32. Okay, well, y'all about to watch me. I hit the wrong thing. Y'all are about to watch me relook at this chart. 3:32. Oh, okay, it's still evil. 32. Okay, it's still Scorpio. I'm so happy though. I changed the time because the other chart had the same ascendant as mine, and I was like not happy. So this is the moment that this bill passed. It was under Scorpio, which has to do with money. Um, I don't really know if it has to do with bills. I think it could potentially have to do with bills if we're thinking it's called mundane astrology. I'm not adept at mundane astrology, but Scorpio is absolutely a money sign. Okay, absolutely. And then we have Venus here on the 29th degree with Uranus. And I was like, why did I say, oh, let's see what Venus is going to do when she's on the 29th degree? Well, with Venus, I guess not shocking, but yeah, Venus is money. And I can tell you the 7th house absolutely has to do with, this is where Venus and Uranus are here in Taurus in the 7th house, absolutely has to do with legal matters, legal affairs. Also, this 9th house, it has to do with law because that's what they're doing. And they just had stuff working in their favor. Now, the thing that I love, and on the one hand, I'm like, maybe the moon being void. The moon went void on Wednesday at 3:30 p.m., 3:30 p.m. Eastern time. And it will be void until 5:30ish a.m. Eastern time, July 4th. This it is rare that I see. I don't know if I've seen a moon void this long. 24 hours I've seen, but I'm like, this is a very weirdly long void moon. Um, so the moon is void when they passed this bill. On the one hand, I feel like the void moon maybe helped them to pass the bill because there's no energy in that moon, and it can help you to really, like, they didn't have enough people to push back or whatever. So on the one hand, maybe the void moon worked against those of us who were like, this bill is crap and it doesn't need to pass, right? But at the end of the day, this moon is void. Period. Full stop. This moon is void. And with it being void, I don't have any faith and hope that that will stop this bill. That we already know that the person who is alleged president of the United States is going to sign it. But it does make me wonder. There's something about the bill that might kind of, I don't know. I don't know. Like with the void moon, what it does is it prevents. I always tell people, you want something to not work, do it during a void moon. If you want something to work, do not do this during a void moon. I don't care what sign the moon is in, because sometimes in modern society, you can't really pick and choose what time you're going to do something because nobody's living according to astrology for the most part, just a few. And so sometimes we just got to work with what we got. If we don't get to really choose, it's like, I just got to take what I can get. But if we can just hold off until that moon is in a sign, it'll work for us so much better. Um, so I'm curious, in the moon is also in the 12th house, which initially I thought to myself is completely and totally some sneaky stuff. It being in the 12th house and void, to a certain degree, I'm kind of like, yeah, we sometimes the moon and mundane astrology represents the people. And so the people, I have MAGA, Congress people, whatever. And I was like, I'm gonna call one time. And then after that, I'm detaching myself from it. I'm gonna try both ways. Be detached, be attached, do something. I'm just testing things out. Um, but I just feel like it's like something is number one, 12th house secrets, secrets, secrets. But also it's kind of like the moon is the people, which in this chart, the moon is actually, I mean, the people we could say is actually Saturn. Because we could say well, anywho, I just think that there's either secrets, there's something that we can all imagine happened behind the scenes, and there's just a weakness altogether with this moon. It was just not a lot of energy of pushback. With the rising sign on this chart being Scorpio, just like with Sean Combs, the Jupiter and the sun being there, totally supporting this energy. Like the energy made it so that this thing was possible. Um, but there are things here where I'm kind of like, mm, something could potentially happen down the road. Something potentially could happen down the road that's in favor of the people is what I'm trying to say. But this is a strong chart, Scorpio, yeah, Jupiter helping Scorpio, Mercury even being in Leo. Mercury is a very powerful sign. In this chart, it rules the 8th house, which has to do with money and power. Scorpio has to do with power. In the 11th house, Mercury rules Virgo. Virgo is this energy that has to do with, the 11th house. It's a house of profitability and stuff like that. So I want to be optimistic because I know everything must change. And there's something that I know. I kind of feel like fully we can't see the full picture. there is definitely, I wanna tell y'all, and I'm just done looking at this big ugly bill. Um, some of y'all remember me talking about this book. Oh, what is the name of this book? Do I have my phone? And I really don't, I'm not super into this, I'm not super into this. I, Let me say it this way. This book was written by a bunch of white men who spiritually I just don't align with. But I listened to the book because it was talking about these cycles. Me cycle versus we cycle. I said, I want to look at this book and make a choice and a decision for myself. Does this book make sense? Um, and the cycle that they were talking about is 80 and 40 years. Oh, Pendulum is the name of this book. Pendulum. If you can read it for free, read it for free. Well, actually, I don't recommend reading it. I listened to it on audio. I don't think I could read this book. But anywho, there was something to these cycles that the author was pointing out. And this number 80 keeps coming up. I want y'all to notice how many times you hear something about 80 years ago, 80 years ago, and maybe you hear something about 40 years ago. This has nothing to do with astrology, but I honestly believe that shifts will happen. And there is something to this 40 and 80. We have these astrological shifts and transits that happen. And that is how I keep myself from feeling like, I mean, I have to be honest. Why does it feel like my prayers are going unanswered? And then, of course, I always hear find the good and praise it. Find the good and praise it. Um, because they're like, spirits are telling me we are answering your prayers. But it feels so. I'm one of those people. I'm not a Libra, but I'm similar to Libras in like it's not fair. It just doesn't feel fair. But then I remind myself, there's cycles. There's cycles. There's cycles. And for whatever reason, we're just in the midst of this. And I would like to encourage people, number one, to do whatever you need to do to take care of yourself. Don't let yourself sink too far, feel hopeless or whatever, because we always have to remember our ancestors. Whether you descend from the same ancestors that I descend from who were enslaved, some of my ancestors were enslaved or whatever. We all come from some ancestors who had to deal with some stuff, right? And I just think that it's our time. This is our time. And it's always been a level of unrest and that kind of thing, not even just in the United States. It's just what it means to be human. Um, and so, there are going to be the cycles that feel more doable, and then there's going to be the cycles that feel like it's impossible. But we have to always, number two, I want you to do the things that align with your destiny, that align with your gifts and your talents. Um, Find some kind of way to make a contribution in a way that, like, how are you going to help somebody else? And another thing that I'm really getting clear about is the power of art and the importance of engaging in art in whatever form that looks like for you. I think the more we find joy despite, it really does something to the energy. And it to a certain degree, art is a form of resistance, and because they want us to be robots, Pluto in Aquarius is like, yeah, robots, the Borg, right? That's what they want. And every time, another thing that I keep getting from the Odu is like, you've got to be brave and you've got to have that courage. You've got to be willing to just be like, you know what? The one thing we can stand flat-footed in ourselves is to say, "I'm going to stay steeped in peace." And the last thing I'll share is there is always, always something greater than all that we see in this world. And it is undeniable. Something is in action and in operation. Now, for me, I believe in karma. Someone I read in maybe it was on the Sean Combs video, somebody was saying something like, "We don't all the time need to see the karma." And I don't. But I have peace. Number 1, I have peace that if these people were so powerful, everything that they wanted would be happening, and it's not. I have peace in that. It gives me hope. It lets me know something is greater. And I'm a spiritual woman, leaning a little bit. When I say witchy, it's like working with magic. I'm not Wicca or anything like that. Love the Wiccan. But it's all different types of witchiness out there. So I remember hearing this one Ia say black witches. So yeah, I'm leaning in that energy of conjure women. And I have said what I said, you know. May everybody that has passed this bill receive the karma due to them based on however many people get hurt. And for all the evil dollars that rich people are going to make, y'all receive your karma. Because there is something greater than them. It is so obvious that they are actually very, very, they might be strong in the sense that they have, the governmental power right now. But people that act like that, they are actually bankrupt. They are missing the thing that matters the most. And I hope that it's like, anywho, I'm gonna zip it because I'm not trying to bring anything on myself, but I am trying to share something that will help the sisters out there who needs to hear something like this. Let me just pull a card. Well, just give us some wisdom based on what I shared today, Oracle. What do you have to say? I'm using my Mythical Goddess Tarot deck. What do you have to say? Ooh, mm, mm. And the last one. Wow. And the two of these are cards that I have continued to get. Um, this is very, very interesting. I'm turning to the page right now, y'all. Don't leave me. Don't leave. Okay. The first card I pulled is Illusion. Illusion. This actually is Moon in Gemini, even though the moon in that chart is in Libra. But I just thought that's interesting. Air. The moon is in an air sign in that big bad Bill chart. This silly little girl is armed to the teeth against a furious imaginary rainstorm she perceives to be lashing at her from above. In reality, it's just a tiny rain cloud passing overhead, and it's a beautiful sunny day. I'm not done, but isn't that interesting? It's an illusion. Seems so real, but yeah. I have another one that will help. Okay, through the lesson of her example, she urges you to pay attention. What are you holding dear? What you are holding dear is your reality is likely far from the truth. It's a time to expand your horizons and put out your feelers beyond your limited mental perceptions and see the humor of your illusions. There's a bigger picture to be seen when you are no longer fooled by appearances. And I think that for me, the understanding that, yes, I'm someplace where I wish I could live in another country so badly, not because I really want to, but I don't want to be here with all of this craziness. Um, for me, the ultimate reality is honestly, I see these people as so weak. They're like bullies, and we know bullies, something is lacking, right? Um, the illusion of power. And I just think that, it's like seeing through all the illusions and what is the truth? What is the truth? If what we're seeing is the illusion, what is the truth? And for me, I don't like the notion of like these spiritual, like it's kind of like I'm so spiritual that I don't have to do anything in the world. That's where I struggle with a lot of, all the people that are into spirituality and all of that. I don't also don't like all the predictions all the time. Like every day you doing a prediction about what's going on in the United States. Yeah, a broke clock is gonna strike 12 every day, right? So I like the balance. I like the balance. But I cannot be somebody who has all these gifts and these talents and I don't use them in some kind of way, right? So I just say bring good no matter what. Interestingly, the second card I pulled is the cycles card. The cycles card. Interestingly, this is a Jupiter card. It's Jupiter in Capricorn, but it is a card to, with Jupiter. And didn't I already mention those cycles? I did. I did. So this says the ancient Ouroboros goddess Nehushta swallows her own tail, symbolizing renewal and regeneration through cyclical birth. The order of the cosmos is clear by the movement of stars and planets reflected in the seasons of change and rebirth on Earth. That's just what it feels like. This is a time of transition in your life in the United States, in the world. Be like Nehushta and let the current momentum transmute the old into the new. See what you are holding onto in yourself and release the brakes so that the changes that bring new form to you can come swiftly and easily without resistance. So I'm just going to sort of, a lot of that is sort of like a personal reading interpretation, but this just the notion of this being a cycle. The notion of this being a cycle, it's a time of transition. And to me, it's kind of like looking for those opportunities to it's like how can I make the most of this moment that I'm in right now? Yes, things look bad. That's how they appear. And the question is, what's my purpose? What am I supposed to do? One of the things I'm clear on is I'm gonna be happy. I went to my son's wedding, my son's graduation. I'm finding joy. I'm fine. Why should I be unhappy? Right. So yeah. What's the opportunity in this for you right now? Maybe for some of y'all, the opportunity is you're gonna move. Maybe for some of you, the opportunity is, you're gonna be finding yourself with a new business. Uranus going into Gemini. I think that gig work will increase and people having their own businesses will increase. Um, something about skills. Something about skills. Last card. Oh, we will be able to use our skills more. So, lastly, uh, the criticism card is one that I pulled. Again, it's like what's going on in the mind. That's what these air cards are about. Is asking you to look at your mind. I'm gonna have to pull at least one more. I can't just end with this one. It's another Geminian card. This is Mars in Gemini. This frightening woman illustrates the destructive power of the mind. Beauty, creativity, and innocence are slain through criticism and judgment. Criticism still stems from self-hate and focuses outward, harming others. The negative power of the critical mind and condemning words destroy from the inside out, creating more destruction. She is a reminder that the quality of thoughts held and words spoken reveal what you love or criticize in yourself and others. Show yourself mercy, understanding, and forgiveness. Love yourself and others without condition so that the angry internal patterns of self-condemnation and criticism can be released in you forever. So that's the personal application. On the global USA application, I would say, let me not put these back in here because I'm about to pull another card. I need a goddess. I need a different one. I need something else. Man, this is just, I need, okay. I'm not going to choose anymore. That's the last one I'm going to choose. But anywho, I just think that what we need to do is to make sure we're really taking care of our mental health. And, I've said before in another video, don't let the media shape your brain. Okay. Nah, don't let it shape your brains and your thoughts. So yeah, this is the last one because whenever I keep pulling cards that I'm like, this is just I want a softer card. It's just a sign I'm not meant to get one. But I do like this card. I'm not gonna lie. I do like this. Oh, this one is Leo. So let this goddess initiate you into a great change of life by releasing your attachments to all that served you yesterday, that you may be purified, electrified, and transmuted. Now, this metamorphosis brings your enlightenment and creation is restored. I didn't read the whole thing. This is the goddess of transformation. Just because it's like, oh, more of the same? Okay. So, yeah. We embrace it. We give thanks. We embrace it. We give thanks. Okay. I'm going to continue to move on. Love y'all. Thank you. I hope that this is helpful. Yeah, keep your head up and continue to connect with your ancestors, your guides, and your destiny. We all were born at such a time as this. I think I'm going to turn on a little something just to give you a little bit as we leave. I ain't gonna stop dancing. You shouldn't either. Find your joy, goddesses. The ancestors, the great mother, whatever energies you call on, they got us. Especially a lot of us Black people, we weren't being given no handouts. For the most part. Anybody who gets any type of money from the government, I ain't mad about it. My ancestors dance. Oh, hold on. I thought I was done. I'm going to tell you what I was thinking about too the other day when I was thinking about dancing. I was thinking about Sinners. If you ain't watched Sinners, don't listen to this, but you know what? You probably ain't going to watch it. So let's just do it. So, in Sinners, Preacher Boy singing that big scene, Preacher Boy is singing and it began to open up something in the universe. And of course, they just in there having a good time. But I just keep thinking the more we dance, the more we do art, the more we sing, play music and that kind of thing. And, it's like just doing it. There's some quote that I've seen before, it was like the times called for hardcore, deep, wild dancing and drumming. That's kind of how I'm in the energy of. The more we can just keep ourselves open and invoking the deities, that I believe that there's a tipping point that we have to get to, and that we will never be what we need to be in this country without that tipping point. This country must make a decision that it is going to be for everybody. And, the powers that be, be it human beings or corporations or whatever, until we all are like release your death grip. As a matter of fact, we're going to do it. And all of us come together of all different backgrounds. We are so divided. I've been listening to people talk about how there's some groups out there promoting, we're for Black people who are from the United States, but they're putting down all the other Black people from different cultures. Division amongst all the different groups who did or didn't vote, however they campaigned, division. And it's a little bit of a mess. I think that all of that division is part of how divide and conquer has put us in this position. And until we make the decision as the collective to move past that and get to that tipping point where it's enough of all these different groups, it's just like, you know what? We ain't each other's enemy. The enemy is the people in power. The enemy is patriarchy. It is institutionalized racism. I don't say this about all white men, but I'm telling you, these white men, they need to understand. The ones like that, you need to let go, bruv. Right? This does not belong to you. But until we say no more as a collective, all the different hues and ethnic backgrounds, we all one big gumbo anyway. Most of us, we gumbo. But until we all come together and stop putting each other down, the divide and conquer is going to work. They don't even have to do anything. Just divide and conquer. And then the people who want to oppress in all the different ways, the few, they continue to just do whatever the heck they want. And I believe we'll get to that place. Probably because I have Jupiter in the first house. And my job is to bring hope. It's just who and what I am. It's hard for me. I can't just be like, oh, everything's going to go to hell in a handbasket. That doesn't feel good for me. As a Jupiterian, I can't do it. And by the same token, I know the reality is it's just we are where we are, and things are going to happen that we aren't going to like. It's already happening. But it's like, what is the collective going to do? Are we going to awaken? Are we going to come together and drop all the arbitrary discrimination we have against people, all the judgment that we have against people who are just living their lives and just maybe different from us? And whatever, it's all superficial, right? So that's one thing I'm working on, because I pretty much is shut down in Tennessee. I was like, I don't want to talk to anybody here. I don't want anything to do. And my husband, he's always waving at people when we are and speaking to people when we're out walking. And I was like, I'm not going to do it. I'm a nice person, and it's been hard for me to just be like, I'm not speaking to these people. What I would do is just do things like cross the street. It's hard for me to not speak. I'm from Mississippi. But here lately, I've just been like, that's not going to help get us to the tipping point. So I'm back to speaking to everybody. And I'm just like, you know what? I don't have to think anything. I don't have to wonder, who did this person vote for? Is this person for me? Is this person against me? Because it's about the energy that I am bringing to help make a contribution to elevate the consciousness of the collective and help us get to the tipping point. And I might just be speaking something that's way out in the future. And if it is, okay, it's okay. Somebody needs to say it. I don't have a lot until the collective shows me something different. I actually don't. I'm not gonna be hoping and putting like feeling like, oh yeah, this can really happen. This can really happen. Putting a lot of energy into it. I'm remaining detached, but I am gonna make my contribution to the collective. And I encourage you to do the same. How much can you not judge other people? Even the people who I feel like these people are against me. I do everything I can to keep myself neutral. As long as you don't say nothing crazy to me or whatever, neutrality. Neutrality, neutrality. And I am going to bring what I was brought to, I'm going to bring what I was brought to bring. Inspiration, positivity, care, concern, love, and just how I show up. That's all I'm asking people to do. Just in how you show up. I don't need you to go out and talk to people or whatever if it doesn't feel, if that's not what you're called to do, because that's not exactly what I'm doing. It's just when I show up, I'm going to have love, I'm going to have compassion, and I'm going to have detachment and neutrality. Neutrality over negativity. All right, y'all. I'm going to give y'all a different one. I don't know what these songs sound like. These are all from Sharkey, my belly dance company. I'm leaving for real this time. I talked way longer than I thought I would. I hope the music is making me feel good. All righty. Thank you all so much for being here. I do need to start saying this. Please, if you're this far, come on, give the sister a like. What stood out for you today? Please share that in the comments. Also, if you're not subscribed, are you kidding me? Subscribe. Let's go on ahead. Let's make this connection. Let's keep working together, supporting one another, all that kind of good stuff. I have made a choice and a decision to monetize this many videos on my channel. So please, if you feel so moved, please leave a super chat. Thanks. Using it, there's a little option right below the video. All right. It's new for me to say it. I hadn't planned on saying it today. I got to get it out smoothly, but y'all know what I'm talking about. You can give me a super chat, a thanks, however you want to call it, to support my work. Love y'all so much.